Hello, hello, guess who's back? Welcome to season 2 of Adventulina. After a nice and short, well, not short but dessert break, your favorite podcast, hopefully, returns for a second season full of more travel stories, travel challenges, and embarrassing moments. Because let's admit it, no great story starts with I was sitting on the couch watching Netflix. Well, maybe a few stories start like that, but if you got up from the couch after and left for the airport, I don't know. So, we're kicking off the summer with a brand new season, not just calendar wise, but also Adventurina wise. And as a first episode of the new season, I decided to release some unheard footage of my spring Alaska trip. I think sometimes the best way to tell a story and to catch all the emotions is to be able to talk about it at the moment. And that's exactly what the goal of this live episode is. As some of you probably saw on my Instagram, I was in Alaska and I had a great time. I really enjoyed the small part I was able to visit of this gigantic state. And I got to experience it in a way a little different than what I expected, but you'll see or hear what I'm talking about very soon. Just in general, this was one of the trips that I did have some moments of disappointment throughout, I'm gonna be honest, but now when it comes to expectations regarding nature or if things didn't look the way I had seen them in photos prior to, maybe at this point you guys already kind of know me, but I am a person who gets pretty upset when things don't go as planned. What I'm talking about is a sudden change of itineraries, something that doesn't depend on me, weather surprises, cancellations, stuff like that. And I know it's stupid, and I know I should assume things like that happen because I travel often. You know, everything can happen, things change, you have to kind of adjust to the situation, and I do it. I just have a hard time accepting it, and it bothers me to the point that I get upset and sometimes it affects my whole experience. I just don't take those things well, I guess. Do I understand it's out of my control? Yes. Do I still get frustrated? Absolutely. So for Alaska, I purposely booked my tickets for March because the best time to see the Northern Lights is between August and April, and seeing the Northern Lights, also called Aurora, was the main purpose of the trip. I also wanted to experience the cold in a normal amount, nothing extreme, but still way, way colder than what I'm used to here in San Francisco, California. So that was the idea, to go there in March and take advantage of both, catching the aurora and having a real cold slash snow experience. Little did I know that Mother Nature had a different plan. I'm not going to give out too much of the episode you're about to listen to, but in general, this is one of the trips that at some point I was like, you know what? If I have to go home right now, I'm fine. I don't care. I will do it. I won't even count this destination as a visited place. A little too dramatic. Yes, I'm aware I overreact in situations like this, but hey, that's who I am. I can't help it, it's just me. So sometimes, yeah, I get frustrated with change of plans, but the cool part is that you never know what other changes this can trigger. And maybe this change makes your whole experience way better. In my case, I decided to take it as, okay, I will have to come back next year, I guess. When I travel solo, which is very often, I usually stay in hostels, not only for the cheaper options, but also because of the fact that hostels are great places to meet fellow travelers, to learn about their cultures, and to have fun. Some of my best stories from solo trips are hostel stories, and I know that this would have never happened if I had stayed in a hotel, for example. With hostels, you're kind of forced in a good way to interact with people. It's almost inevitable to meet someone when you stay at places like this. You have multiple chances to meet people literally every second of your stay, in your dorm room, in the kitchen, during breakfast, at some of the events and activities hostels have. You will interact with someone at some point. Most likely, that's why you're there. In a hotel, that's almost impossible. You get back after a day of exploring and you're going to your room. There's almost no chance to meet anyone anywhere. Some people travel solo because they want to be by themselves. They want to experience things by themselves and they don't want to be bothered. Other people travel solo because they want to enjoy their alone time, but they're always open to meet people and maybe go on adventures with them. I feel like this is me as a solo traveler, by the way. I like to be by myself. I like to know that I don't depend on anyone when it comes to my daily plan. But I love the option of hanging out with some cool people without, having to coordinate my schedule with theirs. This is probably the equivalent of an open relationship when it comes to traveling. I don't know. I would say this was the case for my Alaska trip. I met great people, and while everyone was kind of doing their own thing, we did gather together for certain experiences, and it was so much fun. It also made my whole trip, especially after the challenges I had. I have had great experience with hostels, and I have met amazing people thanks to this kind of accommodation. I still talk about my solo trip to Seattle, where I got to meet the coolest girls ever who set the hostel bar so high for me that I didn't think it would be possible to top that experience. I just love the vibe of hostels. I love staying in hostels because you already know whoever you meet will be open minded. This is just the type of travelers you get at places like this. Funny thing about the hostel I stayed at, shout out to Billy's Backpackers Hostel in Fairbanks, was that 90% of the people there were from the Bay Area. For those of you who don't know, this is the area around San Francisco Bay in California. So when I got there and we started introducing each other, all you could hear was San Jose, Berkeley, San Francisco, Oakland, Sacramento, Palo Alto, all over the Bay Area. I was like, does this hostel only allow people from Northern California to make reservations? It was so funny. This was a good thing though, because I was like, okay, I really like these people. I would love to see them again. So I hope we would be able to do something like a reunion in San Francisco or somewhere in the area. And before I keep going with some details, I would like to say thank you to everyone I met during my Alaska trip, everyone who contributed to my trip, everyone who tried to make it better. Because sometimes we think of an experience as a failure or a disappointment, but it turns out to be the opposite. I guess what I'm trying to say is that as upset as I am sometimes when sudden unexpected changes and little annoying things happen, I realized at the end of the day, everything worked out even better. As much as I was, thinking of this trip as a disappointment at the beginning, towards the end, I was like, you know what? I had a great time. I met great people. Maybe I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do, but that's a good reason for me to come back next year. And I would gladly do it because I loved Alaska. This also might have been my most expensive solo trip so far. Maybe not just solo, actually. I usually travel on a budget because, as I've said many times, I would rather have more money for experiences. Of course, depending on the purpose of the trip, I'm always ready to splurge, basically anything for traveling. But yeah, back to Alaska. This is the trip where I spend the most when it comes to tours, entries, attractions, and experiences. Literally 90% of the things I wanted to see or do were paid experiences and kind of pricey. When I say pricey, I mean pricey compared to other destinations, but overall, totally worth it. After all, if you're gonna go to Alaska the way you're supposed to, right? Some of the things you can only do or see there or at very limited places, so who cares about the money? Also, in my case, the great deals I got when I booked my flights and accommodation allowed me to spend even more on experiences. Well, not that I wasn't gonna spend it anyway, but it felt better knowing how much I saved from my transportation and place to stay. Just for a reference, I flew with miles, and a round trip to Fairbanks, Alaska from San Francisco, California cost me $11.20. If you're a frequent listener of Adventulina, you know that I have made episodes specifically dedicated to how to use points, miles, credit cards in general, and how to travel for less with the perks that credit cards give you. If you missed this episode, it's season 1, episode 9, how to turn hacks into plane tickets. So with the price of a round trip plane ticket equal to a Subway sandwich in San Francisco, and with a very cute, adorable hostel reservation, I spent less than $200 for both airfare and accommodation for 5 days. That's why I didn't care about the fact that every single experience or tour had a 3-digit price. I had already saved enough. I would say the overall I spent for tours and experiences was probably 4 times more than what I spent on accommodation and airplane tickets altogether. But anyway, let me tell you the whole story directly from the source. Keep in mind this episode is not perfect, as it was hard to keep the quality of the recording everywhere, But get ready because this is the first live episode of Adventulina, and I'm sure not the last one. So, with no further ado, I give you myself and the 49th state, Alaska. Okay, guys, so I was trying to record something on my way to the airport, but of course, some shit happened and I couldn't. But overall, I'm kind of a moron. I hate being in a rush when I leave for the airport because I feel like I'm not gonna make it on time for my flight. But this morning, I was a little more concerned than usual because I was ready maybe 10 minutes after the time that I was supposed to call Uber, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna get to the airport like around 4:45 a.m., which is like 15 minutes after what I planned. So anyway, I got into my Uber and the driver is like, oh, what time is your flight? I'm like, 6 a.m. Why? He's like, oh, because we have another passenger to pick up. I'm like, great. Because, yeah, the moron I am, I booked the share ride without thinking that, that there will be another person picked up. So thank God he let me know on time. So I'm like, oh, can I actually drop off, cancel the ride and drop off so I can call another car and make it on time. So he dropped me off a few blocks away from my place. Thank God it's my neighborhood, so I know it pretty well, although it was kind of creepy because it was like 4:15 a.m. So I had to call another car and we made it on time. I was here around 4:40, and of course I went straight to the check-in desk where there were around 3,000 people. And I'm like, okay, this is not gonna work for me, but let's try. Maybe I can, talk to someone ahead of me and be like, hey, my flight is at 6 a.m. Do you mind if I cut off and kind of like go first? I'm like, who cares? No one knows me. I can afford being a moron. So I get there and the line was, I want to say maybe, 30 people, 25. And for the first time, a magic happened. Usually these things don't really happen to me, but half of the line got called from some other desk. I guess they were a big group and they just left, and I'm like, wow, this literally made the line like twice shorter. So I'll take it. And I was supposed to print out my bag tag first, but I didn't have time because I just wanted to get on the line. And I'm like, okay, I need to make up a story because why don't I have my bag tag, Yeah, so I got to the desk. She's like, oh, where's your bag tag? I'm like, oh, I actually tried, but I couldn't print it out. Maybe it's because I added my checked-in bag later after I checked in for my flight. She's like, okay, let me help you. So she did help me. And remember, guys, in the last episode when I told you that I'm always anxious to check in my bags because I'm afraid they're not going to arrive at my final destination. So I usually ask, the flight attendants and the people at the desk, like, are you going to lose my bag? Is my bag going to arrive? Is everything going to be okay? Just being a little annoying, but getting a confirmation from them. And in this case, I did not have time to do that because I was like, I need to catch my flight. I need to be there on time. So, yeah, I dropped off my bag. I just asked, is it going to be going straight to Fairbanks? She said yes. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's it. So since then, which was like 25 minutes ago, I've been tracking it with my AirTag, but I can't help it because, I can help it. So I actually checked in my bag and went through TSA way faster than I expected. And of course, it turned out my worrying was for nothing. But isn't it how it works every time? Like, the only time you are super calm and confident, that's when you're going to miss your flight. So I would rather play the opposite game. So I was literally at the gate maybe a minute or two before 5 a.m. and the boarding starts at 5:20. So this actually gave me some time to go get a coffee and some small breakfast. And currently I'm waiting at the gate to board my plane. It's kind of weird not to have a carry-on to drag around with me.
I was in the bathroom and I'm like, where the hell is my luggage? Did I forget it outside? I'm like, you moron, you don't have a luggage, you just dropped it off. And people were checking in bags, people were checking in carry-ons because the flight attendants just ask if someone can, volunteer and give their bags away. I'm like, nope, I'm not giving mine. Next thing I'm thinking is like, you don't have one because you just dropped it off. So yeah, it's been pretty interesting morning, and I'm gonna keep you guys updated.
Stowed under the seat in front of you. You may continue to use smaller devices in airplane mode. If you are seated in an exit row, please ensure your window shades are open and devices are unplugged from seat power. Once you are settled in, ensure your seatbelt is fastened. We should be on our way soon.
At the time I was recording the boarding message, there was no one in the middle seat, and I was starting to get excited. My flight from San Francisco to Seattle was only less than 2 hours, but I was gonna be very thankful if I had half of the middle seat for myself. Well,
yeah, so I landed in Seattle successfully, and the middle seat was not empty. There was a woman who arrived last moment, god damn it, but it's okay. Flight was okay, it was less than 2 hours, and let's see what's next.
Quick interruption, I love window seats. You almost never see me sitting anywhere else, but damn it. Being in a window seat is basically a choice between having to bother complete strangers while they're sleeping or risking your own bladder to explode. I don't know. I don't like the choice. Because often I pick my bladder to suffer, and that's not healthy. And here's also the moment to say, I've never been afraid of flying, but if there's anything plane related that scares the shit out of me, that would be the goddamn toilet, guys. Like, when I tell you, literally, I take a step back as much as it's possible in this tiny space called airplane restroom. I'm not joking. Before flushing the toilet on a plane, my heart is always racing because the sound is horrific. I feel like I'm gonna get sucked and I will disappear forever. But anyway, I'll let myself finish the story.
Okay, I landed in Anchorage, and it's time for my third and last flight for today to my final destination, Fairbanks. I am at Ted Stevens Airport, and I only had less than 20 minutes connection time, and I was a little worried. For a moment, the flight attendant said that some people from our flight will be let to exit the plane earlier because of our short connections. I thought I was going to be one of them. Turned out I had more time than some other people. So basically, the gate that I was flying from for my next flight was exactly next to the gate that I was exiting my second flight. And I literally got out of the gate and I started looking for C4, and I see signs for C5 and everything after it, and I see a sign for C1, C2, C3. I'm like, where the hell is C4? Well, C4 was right where I was standing at because it was right next to the gate I was leaving from. So good news is that I made it on time for my third and last flight, and hopefully everything will be fine for it. The only thing I'm waiting for is my luggage. I mean, I'm not gonna pick it up here, I'm gonna pick it up in Fairbanks, but the location just turned on, so it is in Anchorage. And technically, of course, it's in Anchorage. It stayed in the same plane. We just had to leave the plane in Seattle, and we reboarded for the second flight. Basically, the luggage never left the plane. So, of course, it's here with me. The hardest part will be to make it to Fairbanks on time. So, keep your fingers crossed. Well, not that at the time you're listening to this, my luggage will still be in transfer, but you know what I mean. By the way, the view from this airport is gorgeous. You can see the mountains, you can see the snow. It's so nice and cozy to be inside. I'm sure outside is cold and super fresh air, but I'm excited to see how it is in Fairbanks. By the way, one of my tours, the snowmobile tour, got canceled because
Here we go.
obviously the weather is a little warmer than they needed, and they cannot do it. So I had to rebook. I booked with a different company, but
Come on, just say it.
the second company canceled as well. So it looks like I'm not going to do the snowmobile tour, which I'm a little upset by.
A little? Who am I kidding?
But it's not a big deal as long as I get to do everything else. This was actually the least important thing on the list. And if this lady doesn't stop talking over me, I'll be pissed. I'm just kidding. Oh, she actually stopped.
I just love how I'm convincing myself that this is not a big deal while I'm literally boiling inside. It's funny to hear myself talking about something that clearly upset me, but I'm trying to play cool, you know? Like, I don't care about this, I'm over it. So, as I mentioned, parts of the recording are not that good, so it turned out that one of them was basically just a plain noise, so I would need to fill in here. When I boarded my third and last flight on my way to Alaska, the plane was almost empty. I literally got in and I felt like I was going to be by myself in the back. And for real, there was just a few people, but of course, one of them had to sit right on the same row as me, despite all the empty seats, like literally everywhere. I mean, yeah, not right next to me, like literally the next seat, but come on, man, like how often does it happen for a plane to be that empty? Like, let's give each other some privacy, you know, and just let's not interact with anyone. But anyway, he not only stayed on the same row, completely ruining my fantasy of having the back of the plane all for myself, but he also dared to come over before we took off, and that's why. So I was sitting and listening to music when I heard a body drop next to me. So I turn around and I see the same guy talking to me and showing me something on his phone. Meanwhile, he's leaning on my backpack in the middle seat, and I had my cameras inside, I had other fragile stuff. So, okay, I mean, the other fragile stuff was my snacks, but I don't care. You know, you try to eat a snowball when it's all squishy and flat, and you know what I mean. Anyway, the guy didn't seem to care that he was leaning on my stuff. He was just asking whatever he wanted to ask. So I turned off my music and I'm like, excuse me? Like, then he just started, how do I add this? No sorry, no excuse me, no can I ask? Just going straight to the topic. And I was like, first, can you please not lean on my backpack? And second, what? Like, since when do we go to strangers out of nowhere, starting a conversation like we are best friends? And we were just talking about this like 10 minutes ago. He literally acted like we were best buddies and we were continuing a conversation from before. Like, I got a little annoyed, and honestly, I didn't even try to help. And I'm not a mean person, and God is my witness. I have helped so many people, especially in San Francisco, finding directions and places. But man, I just hate when someone has no common sense. This guy wasn't too old or anything like that. I would have never refused to, help someone who really needs the help, especially people older than my parents, for example. But his attitude just made me not want to help. I just told him I had a different kind of phone, which was true. And I said, I don't know how to deal with it. I'm sorry. So, anyway, back to Alaska. I also wanted to record myself while I was picking up my luggage from the baggage claim, after all the paranoia and worrying if my suitcase was going to make it. But I was going down the elevator at the airport and I spotted the baggage claim, the same one that I needed. And guess what? My suitcase was already there, spinning around. So you can imagine the sprint and the desperate attempt to get there first, considering there were 3 people around the belt and they were all over 70 years old. Like, yeah, if someone dares to steal my luggage, I was pretty sure I could catch them in the next 10 feet, basically. But I ran like a maniac, like the maniac I am, despite the age gap between me and the rest of the people, and I got my luggage before anyone even thought of touching it. Good job. And then I was on my way out, about to step on Alaskan soil for the first time.
Wait, that's it? Oh. Never mind, it took like a second. Okay, I mean, I'm only wearing yoga pants. I didn't even take out my snow pants from my luggage. So it's pretty good. Oh my god. Air is so fresh and crisp. I feel like if I breathe longer, I'm gonna kill whatever freaking bacteria I have inside of me. But it's super bearable. I mean, I'm sure over the night will be crazy cold, but for now it's kind of nice.
Little did I know that because of this warm weather that I was enjoying at the moment, I was gonna be pissed the very next day.
Oh my god, snow! I haven't seen snow for so long. Oh my god, snow! I'm so excited. I kind of want to jump. Hold on. So that was not the bus stop. I'm walking towards uh, something, but no one else is walking this way. I guess most people are renting a car or waiting for hotel shuttles. So let's see if I'll find it. I'm supposed to be in the right direction, and it's pretty nice outside. Like, it's refreshingly cold. It's nothing crazy. And I just got a message from my tour guide for tonight for the Northern Lights. He's like, dress warm, prepare your tripod, and there is a chance for us to go chase them, chase the Northern Lights. So keep your fingers crossed, guys, so we can get a good view. The bus thing is not going to work, so I'm waiting for Uber, and we'll be here in 9 minutes. So next stop, hostel. People here are so nice because a few cars just passed by me and they all greeted me from inside. That's really cool.
Yes, in general, absolutely everyone I interacted with was super nice and friendly. People there are so used to tourists, while at the same time, I would say they live in their own bubble in the best meaning. I could tell that in every conversation with a local person, they were genuinely interested in tourists, where they come from, and their stories. It wasn't the regular fake interest that you express to make a sale. No, I could tell the vibe was completely different. Everyone was polite and would greet me. There was this sense of no urgency, no rush, like in other parts of the US. I don't know, it was very different in a good way and pretty refreshing to visit a place where, even technology, for example, in general hasn't taken over everything yet, and probably won't anytime soon, which is a good thing.
I think I see my driver. Where are you, man? There he is.
When I was editing this episode, I realized that this sounded like I was getting picked up by a horse carriage. Well, I hate to disappoint you guys, but it was a car, despite what you hear.
Hi, how are you? Oh, thank you so much. How are you? Good. Just surprised how nice and sunny it is. I was prepared for way worse. I was prepared for way worse, but people are kind of walking around with t-shirts. I'm like, whoa. Yes, I'm here for a few days from San Francisco.
So I got a nice chat with Jerry, my Uber driver, pretty much for the whole trip. And then he dropped me off at the hostel. I checked in and, of course, immediately went out to explore, as I wanted to, use the time until my first experience booked, which was the night tour for the Northern Lights.
Okay, guys, so I'm currently walking around Fairbanks. It's kind of cold, but nothing crazy. I'm not even wearing that many layers. It's pretty nice. Air is crisp, fresh, so it's really nice to walk around. I just came to one park and saw this moose arch made of what's it called? Antlers. Jesus, took me forever. Very cool to see. I also just had something like lunch, dinner. I'm not even sure. It's been forever since I ate. I had a sandwich on the plane earlier. It was my second flight out of three, so it's been a few hours since then, if not more than half a day. So I just went to this place, had some food, and now I have 2 more hours until I get picked up for my night tour for observing the Northern Lights. So I really hope I'll be able to see them because this is the night when I have the tour booked and it's the most important one. So yeah, another thing I gotta say I'm a little disappointed by is the limited availability when it comes to Uber and Lyft drivers. So for solo travelers like me, it's kind of screwed up because you either have to rent a car by yourself and go around or spend a ton of money on transport, which is not a problem. Like, I don't care, I need to make it to the place of my experiences anyway. But sometimes that's not the problem. Sometimes even if you're willing to spend money on something, there's no availability. And in this case, you might be ready to give a lot of money to the Uber drivers, but there are none. So I just waited like 20 minutes at my hostel to get picked up. for a 10-minute ride. And it's crazy because it really makes you consider renting a car even if you're by yourself.
Here's the moment to say that I did not rent a car because most of my experiences included pickup and drop off, and also at the time of booking and while I was preparing, the forecast definitely didn't look like what it turned out to be. So I expected real winter and hard road conditions, which made me not want to be on the road by myself in a car I've never driven before. So out of safety, I would say, I decided not to rent a car, and when I arrived in Alaska and my plans and the weather changed, I was wondering what to do as part of my days were arranged when it comes to transportation, and the other part of my days was not. Meaning, for half of the day, I would have pick up and drop off, but for the other half of the day, I won't. So I wasn't sure if it was worth it to get a car, and I ended up not doing it. Okay, so I am waiting to get picked up for my night tour for chasing the northern lights. I'm excited. The guy is supposed to be here soon, and hopefully there will be clear skies because that's what we need. I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but at the same time I'm like, please God, at least today. So we'll see how this is gonna go. I pretty much walked around Fairbanks. There is not much to see. Like, don't expect some kind of like main street with like big concentration of bars, restaurants and stuff. Especially during the winter, I feel like even the parks, I mean, of course, who's gonna stay in the park when it's like really cold and there's snow? But I still walked around. I checked out a couple of parks and some other things around, so it was also nice to walk and get warmed up without having to put 15 layers of clothes. Although I do have a lot of things in my backpack just because we're gonna be outside in the AM hours and it's supposed to be cold, so I think I'm prepared. So our tour started at 8 p.m. and after we picked up everyone from different hotels in Fairbanks, we headed to Delta Junction, about 2 hours outside of Fairbanks. At the time I got into the shuttle, I was very, very tired. I had traveled, boarded 3 planes, and also had woken up literally ages ago. Second, I was overthinking the whole transport situation, and I was calculating in my head if I was going to be able to make it to everywhere I wanted to go. Okay, I haven't been able to give an update since yesterday. So I got picked up from the hotel, we went on the tour, and we were waiting for a few hours for the northern lights to pop up. Unfortunately, despite the clear skies, we couldn't see much until 3 a.m. and 3 a.m. was the time when we were supposed to leave because we're 2 hours away from Fairbanks where everyone was staying. So our tour guide, Michael, who was amazing and really tried to make our experience great, he offered to stay a little longer. He said he didn't have anything to do the next day, and if we all wanted to stay, we were more than welcome to do it. So thanks to him, we kind of extended the tour and stayed for an extra hour, and literally 20 minutes after the time that we were supposed to leave at, they started like literally dancing in the sky. It was amazing, like, to look at it with a naked eye. It kind of like made me doubt myself. I'm like, okay, is that really happening, or it's been 20 hours of me not sleeping? It was just it was amazing. They were moving and getting stronger and then brighter. It was like the coolest thing ever. It felt so unreal, and I finally understand what people are talking about when they are describing the aurora lights. And I really thought I was going crazy because I was already on more than 24 hours without sleep. Plus, the actual sleep I got before waking up for the trip was, I believe, 3-4 hours the most. So everything felt surreal, and I did need confirmation from the other people around that I'm not going crazy, and that is really what I see. It looked like a concert in the sky, I would say, like a stage with the projectors up there. I don't know. Some people see the aurora still, just a part of the sky being green, but this was moving. This was lights playing in the sky, chasing each other. I will never forget it. It was so magical and unreal that I just stayed there hypnotized, and my eyes were probably gigantic from staring at the sky. I didn't even think of recording it. Like, I didn't care. I was so impressed and I was so in the moment that the last thing I wanted to do was to get my phone. Also, by that time, you put the right settings, could have been gone. So why risk the moment? I wanted to memorize this in my head, not on my camera roll. I got plenty of photos, so this was the only thing that I wanted just for me and my memories.
Just so you guys know, what you see with naked eye is not the green and the purple or kind of pink color. It pops up on photos, but that's not how you see it with a naked eye. Our tour guide said that 3 or 4% of people experience seeing real colors without having to run them through a screen and camera. So it's different in life, but that doesn't change the experience. It's still amazing. So we got lucky because we waited a little longer, and if we had left at 3 a.m. as planned, we would have missed it. We would probably see it on our way to Fairbanks. But in this case, just 20 minutes after the time we're supposed to leave at, everything started, and we're so grateful we waited. We kind of got rewarded. So it was also great because this tour was in the house of this person. So they literally just take you to their place so you can stay inside, warm up, have some snacks, drink some warm stuff, and whatever you want. You can go outside, take some photos, check out what's the activity of the Northern Lights, and it's very comfortable. For me personally, I went outside at the beginning of the night and stayed for, I don't know, it felt like almost 2 hours. I won't be surprised if it was almost 2 hours. It was like 20 something degrees Fahrenheit, -6 Celsius, so it wasn't that cold. Plus I was very well dressed, and this is the most important thing. Like, without the proper clothing, you're literally gonna ruin your experience. There were some people who just admitted, they weren't well dressed for that. Like, either their boots were not snow boots or their jackets were not, winter jackets. It doesn't really matter how many layers of clothes you put. It matters of what kind of clothes you put. So I want to say, very well prepared, because I had hand warmers and like toe warmers. I did not record and I did not share with you guys earlier, just because I'm not that type of person who would straight go to the phone and record something like this when they're upset. But we were on our way to the Northern Lights tour, and the people in my group, they were just sharing how their dog sledding tour got canceled a few hours ago, and mine was still on. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna share because I don't want to jinx it, and less than an hour after that, I got a notification that my dog sledding tour is canceled as well, and it's because of the higher temperature these days. I got here yesterday and it was already way too warmer than I expected, and this of course is not good at all when you want to do some snow activities. At this point I was already super disappointed and kind of made peace with the fact that this trip is not going to be anything like what I expected. Having canceled 2 of the tours that I waited with the biggest excitement completely ruined the whole mood of my vacation. And as much as I'm a person who's like, okay, everything happens for a reason, not in this case, not when I travel. I am really philosophical when it comes to stuff like this. If it's a life experience, that's how I would take it. But when it comes to traveling, I'm like, no, that doesn't work here. I don't believe in things happen for a reason when you travel. I want to do my thing. I want to complete my itinerary. I want to see what I want to see. I want to do what I want to do.
That was actually the first thing that really got into me. Fine, the snowmobile was canceled, whatever. I could go to Tahoe and get on a snowmobile. The Uber situation, I could still rent a car, or I could make it despite the ton of money I was going to spend. That was fine too. I made peace with it. But the dog sledding, that one really hurt. Because dog sledding, guys, is something unique and something you can only do at a few places in the world. It's a once in a lifetime experience and I was looking forward to it. it was the second most important thing after seeing the aurora for me. But, with this unusually warm weather for the end of March, they decided to close the season literally one day earlier. One freaking day. And of course, that exact day was the day I had booked all my winter activities for. And that's why I was even angrier. They were canceling all reservations less than 24 hours before they were supposed to happen. I was like, damn, couldn't you just wait for one more day? Just 24 more hours, just one last tour. But I understand. I mean, I understood after because in the moment I was pissed, with the snow melting. They couldn't risk the snowmobile conditions, neither could they risk the well-being of the dogs for the dog sledding. It was just an unfortunate weather situation. Not to mention that after I left Alaska, it got cold again, and I'm pretty sure it even snowed. So whatever, try not to think about it now. After I got another notification that one more of my activities is cancelled, I was so down that I literally thought, I'm not counting this trip at all. I have never been to Alaska. I would be okay if I have to go home right now. And just for your information, I really only say that when I'm super disappointed. Well, now saying it, I remember I've said it twice. And honestly, neither of them was whoa, but I guess it was whoa for me at the moment. The first time I said I'm not counting this trip was in Italy, at Lago di Como, where one of the attractions we wanted to see was closed and we didn't know. It was the only thing we couldn't do from the whole itinerary, and for me, one is enough to consider the whole plan unfinished and the destination not visited, which is extremely stupid because we still saw so much. But again, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. And second time I said I'm not going to count this trip at all was in Hawaii 2 years ago on my birthday. Weather was perfect there until, of course, we landed and it started raining, like pouring rain. We couldn't get any tan the first day. We still went to the beach though. So our luau dinner got cancelled, which is the traditional Hawaiian dinner that you attend to watch like people dancing, to try the local food, which of course was one of the top 3 things we wanted to do. And yeah, I was pissed at the moment and I didn't want to count the destination as visited because of the rain. But the very next day I got so sunburned and I couldn't even smile. But that's a different topic. And I realized, well, things change throughout the course of the trip. But back to Alaska, damn, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yes, the tour. Oh my god. So I was in the shuttle halfway to Delta Junction and I was sad because of the bad news and the cancellations, but I was like, bitch, don't be a baby. You're here. Enjoy. It also felt like, the pressure was off because I already knew I had to come back to do the dog sledding. So I was like, even if I don't see shit tonight from the Northern Lights, I don't care because everything is ruined anyway, and I have to come back anyway. When I was doing my research for booking the Northern Lights experience, I really wanted to book the best option. And this doesn't mean the one that would guarantee me seeing the lights because such a thing doesn't exist. You can spend as much money as you want, but it's only up to Mother Nature. Forecasts also sometimes can mislead you, so I would say the best strategy here is to go without big expectations, as it's a matter of luck after all. I wanted to book the best tour comfort-wise. I had talked to a friend prior to my trip who was telling me how she was freezing while waiting to see the lights, and at some point even wanted to leave just because she couldn't feel her legs. And considering I was going from California, and we are so goddamn spoiled here with the weather we have, like 55 degrees, and we're like, oh my god, let me put my North Face jacket on, So my biggest fear was that I wasn't going to enjoy my experience if I'm not appropriately dressed. Not only did I get the best winter clothes, thank you Sports Basement rentals, but I also wanted to book a tour where I would have the chance to warm up if needed. And this is how I found Face the Outdoors, which by the way is not a paid advertising, although I would love it to be. Michael from Face the Outdoors is great, and he created such a wonderful experience that even if you don't get to see the aurora, you would still love the time you've had. This tour includes only 10 people, so a pretty small group, which means cozier and more personal experience, more interactions with the rest of the tourists, and also less bullshit to deal with. Because let's be honest, every place that is crowded with tourists tend to get a little annoying, or a lot. So again, this tour accommodates only small groups up to 10 people, not only because the experience feels more personal, and you get way more information and attention, but also because you get to stay in Michael's house, the tour guide. His gorgeous house, which is in the middle of, according to me, nowhere, but I'm sure it was close to something. It was very far away from any light pollution, which is exactly what we needed in order for us to see the northern lights. We got to go inside, warm up, make a coffee or tea, maybe noodles, and honestly, nothing compares to that in the middle of the night when you are supposed to be standing in the cold and waiting for something to happen. Once we arrived, I changed, which basically was me putting on absolutely everything I brought. Extra layers, neck warmers, gloves, hats, extra socks, bunch of other things. Pro tip, by the way, try to pee before you put all of that shit on. And I was super comfortable and warm. Even at the beginning when it was windy, oh my god, it's a different experience when there is wind. And thank God after that the wind stopped and the temperature was pretty bearable. At some point I even lay down on the ground, back on the snow, and I just started watching the stars. Something that I did the very next day on another experience that you're gonna hear about. But guys, I'm not joking when I say I had never seen that many stars in my life. It was insane. Just so beautiful and so unreal at the same time. I remember seeing a lot of stars when I was a kid in my hometown in Bulgaria, but it's been years since I had seen anything like that. Don't even remember the last time. It was amazing. Some people from the group though were not as well prepared as I was and couldn't stay outside for too long. In my opinion, they kind of missed some parts of the experience. That's why if you're going to Alaska, it is extremely important to wear the appropriate clothing. Not just because you can get hypothermia, but also because even if you have a place to go and warm up, you may miss something awesome while you're warming up, you know? Except for my clothes, I also prepared some hand warmers and toe warmers, real lifesavers. I even use this here during the summer, which here is foggy and very cold, close to the water. So if I have used this shit here, you better believe it, you need it in Alaska. Make sure you open them on time so they start warming up and get hot by the time it's the coldest. I even gave some toe warmers to one lady who decided to come with boots with heels. I know what. And I guess the excitement itself was another thing that kept us warm. And that's how my first day ended. I got dropped off at the hostel at 6 something a.m. I was exhausted. I fell asleep in the car, which almost never happens, on our way back to Fairbanks. I was so ready for bed, guys. And when I say bed, I mean a couple of hours to sleep, as I wanted to get up early the next day and of course take advantage of the time. Especially after some of my tours got canceled, I needed to wake up and figure out what to do and what new plan to come up with. It was just impossible to think of that at 6 a.m. So after two hours and a half of sleep, after I didn't sleep for almost 30, today I was supposed to do dog sledding, which I was most excited about, and then I was supposed to do the snowmobile, and I'm not doing either of those things. So yesterday when I got the notification on our way to the Northern Lights tour, I was super upset. I kept quiet for the rest of the ride. I couldn't see how this vacation can get better after the fact that two of the most exciting things that I was planning on got canceled. So I wasn't surprised when we did not see anything whoa when it comes to the lights. Like, I was already fine with not seeing anything because I'm like, okay, this vacation is ruined for me anyway, so I don't really care if I see the lights or not because I'm obviously coming back next year. So whatever, it is what it is. Like, a small part of me actually just wanted to kind of like go home. You know how when you're really disappointed and how when your plans are not, you know, going the right way, your way, you're like, okay, I don't care, just take me home. That was me last night. And I was fine with, you know, not seeing anything from the lights, but then I guess something nice happened and we still got to experience some activity in the sky, which was very, very cool and, again, unreal. And today, I got home 6 something a.m. They dropped me off after the tour because it's a night tour. And I almost immediately went to bed because it was already 24 plus hours for me with no sleep. Like, I got up super early in San Francisco, went to the airport, took one flight, second flight, third flight, made it to Fairbanks, checked into my hostel, went out, explored, ate, did the night tour. It felt like
had been there for 3 days last night, and it was literally less than 1 day. That's how long it felt like. I woke up this morning, barely 2 hours of sleep, and I'm like, okay, let me check what's going on downstairs. So went downstairs and started talking to people, and unfortunately everyone already had plans, so I was gonna be more than happy to join anyone, but people had tours that I couldn't find a spot for. Everyone already had their itinerary and stuff, and I was sharing with the rest of the people how my tours got canceled. So one guy, he's like, oh, we have a car and me and my friend are going to do this glacier hike, and I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. He's like, do you want to join us? Like, we'll be more than happy to give you a ride, and the more the merrier. And I'm like, oh my god, like, are you serious, guys? Like, at a moment like this, for someone to do something like this for you, it's not just appreciate is an underestimate, but it's a different feeling. So I was super thankful. I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. Are you sure I can chip in with the car and gas and everything? And yeah, we were getting ready to leave, but turned out that they found another tour which includes like a plane ride to the Arctic Circle. So they ended up going there, and I'm sure they had an amazing time. They sweet people, they kept apologizing, like, we're so sorry, we know we told you can join us for the glacier. I'm like, guys, please. I'm a travel freak, I totally understand. Like, please don't feel bad, it's okay, you do your thing, you go have fun, you don't have to like think about me. Like, I literally popped up in your life 20 minutes ago. I'm super thankful that they offered, because I just know how important it is for solo travelers to connect with other people. Even if we didn't go to this tour, I think I met amazing people who I would love to hang out with another time. And just the fact that they were, sweet enough to offer, it meant everything. It doesn't matter that it didn't happen. If they're listening to this, thank you guys. It feels really bad to have a full itinerary prepared and for one of your days to completely crash, because what do? Like, now I have the whole day and I'm like, what am I even doing? Like, it's so hard to fit in activities last moment, literally. So I just called one vendor to check if they have a tour to the Arctic Circle. It's supposed to start at 12, and I just got dropped off at the Museum of the North, because I'm like, okay, since I'm not doing anything today, let's go check out the museum. Then I'm gonna go to North Pole, see the famous Santa Claus house, do some ornament shopping, and now I'm waiting for them to give me a call. It's been almost 10 minutes. They said 5. I mean, I don't want to be rude, but dude, come on, if pickup is in 1 hour, I want you to tell me faster. So keep your fingers crossed, guys, so I can go at least on this tour. This tour is like 13 hours, so we'll leave at noon and we're gonna be there the whole day. We're coming back pretty late, so that's the only thing that can kind of like make up for my vacation. Let's see. So yeah, right now I'm sitting outside of the Museum of the North. I don't know if I should get in. If I get in and they call me and they say they're gonna pick me up in an hour, I have to go all the way back to the hostel, get my stuff ready. So that's why I'm waiting outside, basically, to see what I'm gonna do next. And if they don't have a spot for me for today's tour, I'm, getting into the museum and we'll try to explore as much as I can. Kind of just make the best of the day if there's anything good left, because I'm already super like desperate, but kind of like I made peace with it. That's not the trip that I was hoping for. That's not the trip that I was planning. I understand things can get like this when you're traveling. I say it to people all the time, but I cannot apply it to myself. I know it sounds stupid, but this is one of the things that you convince other people to believe, but you don't believe it yourself. So for me, if I have to be honest, this trip is a total failure. And it's not even funny. The only reason I'm I'm laughing is because I have nothing else to do. But honestly, like, what the hell? Like, why did I come all the way here just to sit outside and not to know what to do? Like, I've never experienced that. I have never been on a trip not knowing what to do. I always have everything planned. That's why it hurts so much because I always have everything planned. I always have backup plans and stuff to replace my main activities with if something happens. But in this case, it doesn't depend on me to replace the activities that got canceled because no one would take me last moment for tours that people booked weeks in advance. And also some companies, they have a requirement of minimum 2 people, which sucks because what am I supposed to do, clone myself? Like, they don't care about solo travelers, I swear. And the other thing is, it's already 11 a.m. So most of the daytime tours, even if they allow one person, they had already left. So kind of screwed sitting here under the sun. And I'm enjoying that it's warm, but at the same time I hate it because I know this is the reason for all my activities getting canceled. So yeah, guys, just wanted to, vent out a little bit. Okay, I just called them because I'm like, okay, it's been almost 15 minutes. You guys said 5. I know it's usually like this. Like, you don't say 5 minutes and call in 5 minutes, but I'm waiting here. Like, I need something to happen for me to know what kind of day I'm going to have. So I called them and apologized for being pushy and in a rush, but obviously they need a couple of more minutes to figure things out. So depending on how this conversation goes, this is the possibility. Possibility 1 is for me to be able to join the Arctic Circle tour, which starts in 1 hour. So they better let me know soon so I can go to the hostel and get appropriate clothing and stuff, because right now I'm not prepared for such a long trip. And option 2 would be for them to be like, nope, we don't have room for one person, so enjoy your day, biatch. Just kidding. And then I'm just gonna go to the museum as I'm already outside anyway. Also, some people from the hostel gave me a ride, which was really sweet of them. So yeah, I will try to maximize my day. And of course, guys, let me tell you something. Like, the predictions for the aurora are, you can see the next few days and what's the possibility of you seeing the lights. And of course, everything until the day I'm staying is like lower. The day I'm leaving, you should see that shit. It's literally like, wow, they're gonna explode. I'm like, thank you. It's really nice to know that the day I got here, they weren't strong at all, and they're not gonna be strong until the day I'm leaving. That's incredible to know. But yeah, I guess that's life, and I guess that's nature. You cannot predict things. You cannot get mad at seeing or not seeing something. Hold on.
So I got the call, they didn't have the availability, and I didn't get to go to the Arctic Circle. As you can assume, I wasn't in a recording mood after receiving the news. So I decided to, go check out the museum and not share this moment. Also, it would have been mostly Bulgarian curses. So anyway. So just got out of the museum. It was super interesting. It was pretty great. I also just attended one of the shows in the auditorium about Aurora Borealis. It was very interesting. They explained everything about the Northern Lights and the Southern Lights as well. So I'm about to head to North Pole and go see Santa Claus house, and let's have some fun. Santa Claus house was so cool. It was exciting to be inside as an adult. I can only imagine how it would be if you're a kid. There was an actual Santa Claus inside, and of course I took a photo with him after patiently waiting for my turn on a line. The store in general is full of Christmas decoration, ornaments, and it really gives you the full Christmas experience despite the time of the year. I swear, while I was there, I was convinced it's not March. And you better believe I got some cool souvenirs, Christmas decoration, ornaments. There I also got to meet with some of the girls from the hostel. We hung around a little bit and took some cool photos together. The gigantic Santa Claus statue next to the store is so cool. Overall, pretty great North Pole experience. Kind of made my day. When I was chatting with the girls, some of them suggested I join them for another Northern Lights tour the same evening. And since I had no plans and I had refunds coming my way from my canceled activities, I said hell yeah and contacted the agency they booked with. Surprisingly, they had availability, so I was starting to feel better about my trip. Booking a second night for watching the aurora happened first because I had no other plans as my stuff got cancelled, but also because I really enjoyed spending time with these girls and I was sure we were gonna have fun together. On top of that, this tour was very different from the one I attended the previous night because it was like camping and it included outdoors experience with like bonfires, music, and way bigger of a group. I was gonna have the chance to see the northern lights again, but doing something new and this time not by myself. So I loved it. After visiting the North Pole, I headed back to Fairbanks and we made plans with the girls to meet in one of the most popular breweries in the city. We got some drinks, we got some food, went back to the hostel and gathered together in the common room. And this was actually one of my favorite moments throughout the whole trip, just sitting together with these cool people, pretty much strangers, but still feeling like they were longtime friends, laughing and chilling together. Also, it was one of the girls' birthdays, so we got some cake going, some happy birthday singing, some guitar playing. It was awesome. Later, we all got ready to get picked up and we left for our tour, and here's the quick summary.
Alright, now guys, I am laying down on the ground looking at the stars. About 40, maybe 50 miles away from Fairbanks, Alaska. We came here for a campfire and to observe the lights. And it's amazing. Like, I don't remember when was the last time I've seen so many stars. Probably when I was a kid. I'm just laying down on my back. It's freezing cold, but who cares? And it's beautiful. Kind of like taking it all in.
Here's the time to mention that we were actually standing on a frozen lake. First, I was a little reluctant, which I believe I've never used this word in my life until now. And I was like, I gotta wait for a little bit to see if someone's gonna crack this shit and sink. So the selfish me stayed aside for a little bit while I was, watching tens of people coming and going. And the moment had finally arrived, so I decided, it wasn't that likely for this ice to break at the exact moment I stepped on it. So I did spend some time, took some photos. So the difference between this tour and the one I did the previous night was that there were multiple vehicles here with 10 up to 11 people each. So we would just drive and pull over, get out of the vehicles, take some photos and be taken to the next spot. And the final spot, the final destination was the camp area. So it was different kind of experience, and at the same time you have to deal with the bullshit of other people. So the tour guides mentioned multiple times, guys, if you're going to take photos, please turn off your flash, because when other people are taking photos of the northern lights, they have to set up their phone on long exposure. And when you turn on your flash and you take a single photo with one quick part of the second with flash, you're ruining other people's photos. And despite them saying that multiple times, there were still people who for some reason either didn't understand or didn't want to do it. There were flashes like left and right. So multiple of my photo attempts got screwed because some people just preferred not to listen and also didn't even assume they were probably doing something wrong, which I hate to say it, but when there are so many people around, you have to listen to the instructions and you have to make sure everyone is having the best experience for themselves. The second thing was the photo option. So those expensive tours come with photo options, and I don't know why everyone got so crazy, but it was like they were giving out free plasma TVs. I don't know. Do people still call it plasma TVs or it's just TV? I haven't seen a TV that is not a plasma for years, but anyway, you know what I mean. Like, it felt like they were giving out something for free and people are trying to like get more and more. I'm like, guys, everyone will get a photo. Just calm the hell down. Like, your turn will come. You don't have to act like it's this crazy opportunity that only the first 5 people will take advantage of. And this was another thing that I got upset about because people were pushing each other and people were cutting the line. I'm like, it's just a photo. Like, it will be okay. So this was the disadvantage of the bigger group, I would say. So today I made it to China Springs Resort.
It's about hour and a half away from Fairbanks. I had a transportation included. Actually, this morning I was a little not scared but concerned because turned out it was heavily snowing in Chino Springs, so the driver was late and I'm like, oh my god, no, one more thing will get canceled. And literally I had the whole day planned here. I'm gonna go to the ice museum, I'm gonna go to the hot springs, maybe the inside pool, check out the restaurant. So the driver was late, so I got worried and called them. They said the road conditions were a little tough, so there was a delay in the transportation, but we got picked up, made it there, not on time, but a little after the drop-off time. So I missed my ice museum experience at 1 p.m. and I had to rebook for 3 p.m. And I took advantage of the time that I had to go grab lunch because I was starving. I have not eaten since the Northern Lights tour. We had reindeer sausages and it was maybe 1:30 a.m. So since then, I've had nothing but one small dessert, which I wouldn't even count. So I already rescheduled my tour. I also got some souvenirs and I'm waiting for 2:50 so I can join the group and go check out the ice museum, and then I'm gonna go get hot in the hot springs. Everyone here is so nice, you guys. Absolutely everyone I talked to was extremely sweet, understanding. Everyone is super friendly. They offer help constantly and it just feels nice and safe, especially for solo travelers.
All the Uber drivers I talked to were super, super nice as well. Sometimes we would talk, 20, 30 minutes plus as I was going far away. Some of the times we got to discuss, deep life topics, Sometimes you can have the best conversation with a stranger, but at the same time, when you ride with the same driver for a few days, it kind of becomes a friend's conversation and you feel like you already know each other. So my driver, Jerry, shout out Jerry, he was telling me that years ago when he was young, he decided to travel to New Zealand, I believe, and he arrived there. He didn't have a plan or anything. He checked into the hostel and went outside to kind of decide what to do as a first day at his destination. But he noticed a big crowd on the other side of the street and kind of went to check what the buzz was for. Turned out Princess Diana was visiting and people gathered to greet her and show her support. And of course, after he heard that this was happening, he joined the line and guess what? Not only did he see Princess Diana, but he also managed to talk to her. Yes, he briefly exchanged like a couple of sentences with her, and he confirmed an opinion I believe the whole world shares. She was an extremely sweet and kind person. We were talking with Jerry that this would have never happened if he wouldn't have gone solo traveling to New Zealand, and this is just one of the billion stories of how when you take the risk and go even alone, you would experience things that would never happen if you stay at the same place.
So when I was rescheduling my ice museum tour and adding a drink to it, the person at the front desk offered me to make a luggage tag for me. So they have different options. You can pick the photo on the luggage tag, you can put your information and they're gonna laminate it for you and give you a strap. So it's something very cool and small that you can do here in the activity center of Chino Hot Springs Resort. And another nice thing that I remember, I don't know if I mentioned yesterday, in Santa Claus house in North Pole, you can bring your passport and they're gonna stamp it with a stamp from Santa's house, which is very cool. And of course I did it. I went to check out the ice museum, got some appletini in ice glass, very cold for the lips but very cool in general. Took some nice photos, met some nice people, talked to them, and after that I went to the hot springs and it is hot, like literally it's snowing, not heavy but it's snowing a little bit, and you just sit there in the hot water and you watch the steam and it's magical. Outside there was a group of few people who, I'm sorry, I don't want to be that person, but they did think that they're visiting for private photo session, if you know what I mean. They were just pretty much occupying a whole corner of the pool, and I swear to God that they probably took between 2,000 and 3,000 photos of the same person from 5 different phones. And if people would kind of like move around or go around them, they would be like, oh, I'm sorry, can you wait? I'm like, bro, it's been 20 minutes. No one's gonna wait for you 20 minutes. People want to use the pool. They're here to actually take advantage of the pool, not to take photos. I mean, yes, take a photo. I took a photo as well, of course. Take a photo for the memory, for the souvenir, whatever, but don't act like you're at a private photo session, you know? You're preventing other people from using the pool, which reminds me of... Hold on, sorry, I'm looking at a kid that is disobeying the lifeguard in the pool. And I'm like, is there a trouble or not? Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're still outside taking the same photo. Then some of them climbed on the rocks and basically kept taking photos. I just don't understand, like, unless you are a professional model, unless you make money off it, or you have a really valid reason, I don't understand why would you need such perfect shot. Like, I'm sure from all the 3,000 photos they took, there were at least 700 that were fine. So what can you possibly take more as a photo? Like, what more can you want from a photo? Like, they literally tried every angle, every pose, every distance, every device. I'm like, if you're a professional photographer or a professional model, if you're doing something for work or you're making money off it, I would assume you can either rent a place or maybe pick an hour that it's not that busy so you can have the whole thing for yourself. But when you are there for the rush hour or whatever you call it, for the time when the pool is the busiest, you cannot really expect to take the best photos or for no one to be in the background. I mean, just, I guess, learn Photoshop and remove them after. You cannot ask people to stay away because it's their pool as well. But anyway, it was just a little too much to sit there and observe like a full-blown photo session. But yeah, I guess this is the new norm, right? You gotta take 100 photos, even if 99 of them look the same, because most likely the girl is not going to be happy at all anyway. Because we know how most girls are. Like, you can take 500 photos of them and they will still be like, no, my stomach is not flat, my eyes are in different directions. Like, there's always a reason. So I think I'm gonna go to the restaurant again because I wanna try either some seafood. Well, I did have salmon burger earlier, but I wanna try something different. I'm not hungry, honestly. I would actually love to have some coffee, but I wanna leave at 8. I have to eat now because my shuttle is scheduled for 10, but I don't know if I want to hang out here until 10. I think I would rather go back to the hostel and hang out with my roommates, honestly. Okay, I am in a food coma right now. I went outside because this restaurant is way too hot for someone dressed with 3 layers of clothes like me. But overall, had lunch here, had dinner here. I even have leftovers that I'm gonna bring with me to the hostel. Food was great. Staff was amazing. Everyone in general, as I said multiple times, was super friendly and nice. And I have about an hour and a half until my pickup back to Fairbanks. So I'm just chilling outside, trying to... I mean, it's not even watching the sunset, but the sun is setting down because it's 8:30 and today the sunset is at 8:34, but the sun is gone because it's really cloudy and it was snowing until a couple of hours ago. So I think that's it for today. Honestly, after a few days with either no sleep at all or 2 hours or 4 hours, I'm ready to go home, meaning go to a hostel and crash around midnight or 1 a.m. the latest, which means I get to sleep 7 hours, maybe. What is this? What is this luxurious thing called 7 hours of sleep? I would like to know. But yeah, tomorrow The schedule is pretty light. I want to wake up, go have breakfast at this little cafe next to the hostel. Then I want to go for souvenirs, and I have booked reindeer walk at 2 p.m. I'm super excited. This is going to be the last activity I'm doing here, and I will have the late afternoon and the evening free, so maybe I'll do something with the girls from the hostel. We'll see. But I think that was all for today. The last thing would be just to get home and maybe chill for a little bit with whoever is awake once I'm there. Good morning. I woke up today after I think more than 9 hours of sleep, which is more than what I got for the last 3 nights. So last night I slept longer than on Thursday, Friday and Saturday combined. So I was super excited to go to bed last night, and it was great. Got enough sleep, got enough rest, woke up, got ready. Now I'm going to have breakfast at this place, Little All Cafe, which is close to the hostel. Ooh, there's ice here. I better not fall down while I'm recording. So, whoops. After that, I'm planning on taking the bus and going downtown to buy some souvenirs. So I'll see you later. So I just went to Walmart, and turned out they have amazing selection of souvenirs. The prices are insane. It's so cheap. You get big variety and low prices. So I got some new stuff, and now I'm walking to Walgreens because I know they have a souvenir aisle as well, and I want the best one because, as you guys know, it's really important for me to get the magnet I want. Otherwise, there will be a mental breakdown. But today is 35 degrees Fahrenheit, 1 or 2 Celsius, and it's so hot. I swear, I know it sounds stupid, but it's hot. I'm outside walking just with a sweatshirt, and I'm holding my jacket because I couldn't walk anymore with it. It's so hot. The last thing I got to experience was the Reindeer Ranch, which is a place where you can go and spend some time with reindeer. You can learn about them. You can walk with them in the forest. You can take photos. You can pet them. And it's not a zoo, guys. This is something that the people from the ranch really want to make sure people are aware of. So the reindeer are in their natural habitat, and everything is kept in a way that makes them live as close as possible to the normal conditions they're supposed to live in. And it's a very unique experience because it feels kind of unreal because you're so close to these animals, and you get to learn about everything from their body structure to all the interesting facts about body parts and like their antlers and stuff, their behavior, um, habits and stuff like this. So it was very interesting and very cool to get so close to them. One of them even poked me a little bit. I mean, thank God I was wearing 6 layers of clothes, so I didn't feel anything. But I also signed up a waiver before that because shit happens. So it was very cool. I want to say this is one of the must-do things in Alaska in general because it's an experience that kind of like reminds you of destination like this. So this was another cool thing that I'm sure I would include in future recommendations of this destination. Another interesting thing is that I met a family from, I believe, North Carolina. They told me that one of the restaurants in Fairbanks, one of the restaurants that I actually went to, is owned by a Bulgarian family. I wish I knew at the time I went there because I could, stop by and say hi. I know there are like quite a few Bulgarians in Fairbanks, not just during the summer when they have a lot of J1 students, but also, people who permanently live there. So one of the families that I met also told me that I am the 8th or the ninth Bulgarian they have met during their vacation, so that was cool too. Okay guys, so I made it to the airport. I'm leaving soon. I just picked up some breakfast and I'm gonna eat and have coffee before that. So yeah, my trip has come to an end. The only part left is to get home safely, and last night was so much fun. After I got home from the reindeer ranch tour, I met some new people who just checked in at the hostel. We started talking and talking and talking and talking, and next thing I know, it was already like 9 something. So it had been a few hours while we were just vibing, and someone, of course, suggested let's go check if we will be able to see the northern lights. It was the last day for a few of us, and we kind of wanted to take the new people as well, so we left around midnight and went to Murphy Dome, which is a popular place around Fairbanks to observe the lights from. We did not see anything because it was super cloudy. It was also snowing, like brutally cold as well, but we had a great time, and I feel like it was the perfect way to end this trip, as you know, I got to hang out for a last time with some of the people I met on the very first day, and I also got to hang out with the people that I met last moment. I'm super thankful for everyone I met, and literally if it wasn't for these people, I'm sure my experience just wouldn't be the same, just in general, with all the change in plans, with all cancellations and all the hard hits on my travel itinerary. I'm sure that just hanging out with these people helped me recover faster from my travel loss and enjoy my trip way more than I was gonna enjoy it if I was completely by myself. So if any of you, hold on, someone is like then cleaning the floor at the airport. If any of you guys are listening to this episode, Tori, Evelyn, Maya, Amy, Nate, Rena, guys, thank you so much for the time and for all the laughing. And since most of you guys live in the Bay Area, I hope to see you soon, because this can't be the last time we hang out. Absolutely not. Also, of course, when we got to Murphy Dome and we got outside, it was so cold. I think it was like low 20s in Fahrenheit and minus 10 or 12 in Celsius. And it was kind of brutal because there was wind, and honestly, if I wasn't well prepared, I would absolutely hate it. But yeah, we got to chill for a little bit outside, which was pretty cool, even if it was freezing cold. And of course, we played a little bit of Dancing Queen, because can I go somewhere without playing Dancing Queen? I don't think so. Being outside in the brutal temperatures, we did listen to Dancing Queen and kind of danced a little bit to warm up, which was super nice. Also, I would like to say that I am not just impressed, not just surprised, but shocked how nice everyone is. This is the first time, maybe the second time at an airport, and I don't feel stressed at TSA. Guys, when I was going through TSA here, I was the only one person, but I don't think it would have been different if I wasn't. Absolutely everyone on my way from the beginning to the end greeted me, asked me how I was, and literally was so nice and friendly that I forgot I was going through TSA. From the person who helped me tag my luggage and even wished me like nice flight and everything, through the lady who checked my driver's license, then the lady who helped me with the bins and pushed everything all the way to the scanner, then the people at the scanner. It's like, why is everyone so nice? At the TSA, it's like, it's not typical for people there to be nice. Even if they are nice people in life, they just pretend not to be because they want to be intimidating. And I understand, but these people were literally like, I almost wanted to like, I wanted them to find something in my luggage so I can just go again and just stay more time around them and like talk to them more, because I never see that at airports. And it's not just one person that you're like, oh, okay, this person was nice. Absolutely everyone. Like, I really want to make sure every time I go to places like this and I interact with super nice people who are first doing their job great and then they are great people. I want to make sure I leave reviews because I feel like people only leave reviews when they're angry, when the review is going to be bad, because you're like, oh my God, everything sucked. Like, I hated it. I want to let everyone know. But we should do the same when we like something and when we recommend it because it goes a long way. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, letting someone know they're doing fine or supporting a small business or maybe showing the supervisors in the TSA at Fairbanks Airport that their staff is doing great. So I'm extremely happy with my experience because as a solo traveler, I got to talk to so many strangers, so many people, other tourists, other solo travelers, and also so many locals. I live in a big city, so I meet a lot of people who are not as nice as they pretend to be. And I think at this point I can distinguish that from genuine behavior. And I literally did not feel a bit of that here with not one person I talked to. And also for all my strangers out there who helped me take my photos as every time I'm solo traveling, I want to thank you. I appreciate it. I want to also thank everyone who offered themselves to take a photo of me just because I guess they noticed I was by myself. So many nice people helped me in small ways to experience this destination in a better way. So many people created my memories, even if they were strangers. So for everyone out there who has ever taken a photo of me, doesn't matter if I asked you or not, doesn't matter if you took the initiative or I asked you to do it. I just want to say thank you because this is something that really sucks when you travel by yourself. Like, I don't want to be the person who takes selfies or set up tripods and stuff like this. And also, I don't want to be the person who takes one photo for a memory and this photo sucks because the person who took it didn't care and put their finger on the flash or something like this. So, okay, I'm having a layover in Anchorage and I've been here for a few hours. My flight was supposed to be earlier, but a couple of days before I took off, they offered me credit to switch to a later flight. And of course, of course, have I ever said no to credit? Of course, I have not. So I gladly accepted the credit in exchange of few hours of my time, which means a longer layover in Anchorage. And it wasn't even such a big difference from my original flight because my original flights were pretty much the first and the last flight were the same, and the one in the middle, the connection flight, was just a little later. So right now, instead of waiting longer in Seattle, I'm waiting longer in Anchorage. So once I land in Seattle, I won't have that long of a connection. So it's pretty much the same, just kind of switching the length of the time. I pretty much went everywhere, checked out the whole terminal because when I was here a few days ago, I had really short connection to my next flight, so I didn't get to see anything. Kind of walked around, checked out some souvenir stores, of course, and now waiting for 2:44 so I can board my second flight, Anchorage, Alaska, Seattle, Washington. And I gotta say, it's kind of weird not to have a carry-on because, as I said earlier, I checked in luggage this time against all my paranoia and against all my beliefs and untrust in humanity. I did check a bag. I guess I'm always more anxious on the way to my destination because I'm like, okay, if they lose my bag, what am I supposed to wear? How am I supposed to, restore my stuff and things like that? So right now I'm just looking at a kid running around. He's very cute. Anyway, but yeah, it's weird not to have a carry-on with me because I'm so used to, you know, dragging it everywhere with me, and also feels kind of empty. My hands are empty. I don't know what to do with them. Another thing is that where the hell do I put my legs? I'm used to just putting my carry-on in front of me and kind of stretching my legs and putting them on top. And now it's just not that much fun. I don't know. But of course, just as I expected. I did not use all of the clothes I brought to Alaska. I want to say one third of them, or maybe a little less, I did not get to use. Honestly, I could have done with less than what I brought, but of course, it's always better to have more and not use it than to have less and need something. Even if I didn't use everything I prepared, I still don't think I could have, fit in goddamn carry on. Just with the amount of jackets and stuff like this, it was kind of impossible. So let me check where my luggage is, by the way, just talking about it. Okay, from what I see, the luggage is right around the gate that I'm supposed to fly out from, so things look good. Kind of getting hungry. I do have prepaid food on my second flight, so I'm kind of like impatient to get on the flight and eat because I had a bagel at the Fairbanks airport this morning before my first flight. So now it's already lunchtime, honestly, past lunchtime. So their stomach's empty, if you know what I mean. I was just thinking that I didn't get to use my action camera because technically the experiences I brought it for, I did not get to do them. As I mentioned, the dog sledding and the snowmobile thing. So I brought it for nothing. And I also brought my computer just to be able to upload the content on it in case I run out of space because my card only had like 32 gigabytes. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I was thinking I was gonna film like absolutely everything on this action camera. But yeah, it turned out I bought a few things that I could have easily left home, I guess, and have my backpack a little lighter, but it is what it is. And yeah, I'm excited to go home. It's gonna be a busy rest of the week. As you guys know, I never go home like in the middle of the day or the morning, or I never take days off between my actual returning and the next day I'm working. I always come back last moment, most likely sleep for like 4 or 5 hours, best case scenario six, and just back to normal. We'll see how tonight's gonna go. I hope I'll be able to take the last train to the city once I land at SFO, San Francisco International Airport. So that's the plan for now. Also, this morning, one of the girls from the hostel gave me a ride. So, Tori, if you're listening to this, I want to say thank you for dropping me off for my flight. And I was thinking in general of, my first, ew. Sorry guys, I just noticed that I kind of like gripped my snow boots. What the hell? Anyway, I was thinking of, just my general impression of Alaska after I got to finally visit it for the first time. So I would say I will definitely come back, not just because of the experiences I couldn't do this time, but also because there are other places I would like to visit, other transportations I would like to use. I really want to come here on a cruise. I really also want to take the train that goes through all the mountains and stuff. And just in general, I would love to also go back in summer to kind of see the other side, not just the snowy and cold side. So yeah, I'm excited to see when the next trip would be. You guys, you are not gonna believe this shit. There is a Krispy Kreme part of this store, and I am going ludicrous right now. I haven't had Krispy Kreme for months because they closed a location close to home in San Francisco. So I'm getting down right now. Also, I was just thinking how much I need something sweet. And I think that was just a gift from God sent right after I was thinking of a dessert. This is how the universe works, guys. If you want something really strong, it's gonna happen.
So, yeah, guys, after I got my Krispy Kreme, I got on the plane and I safely made it home. As I mentioned, I didn't sleep much until I had to just wake up and go to work. So, the trip was great overall. Despite the rough start, I would say I was able to kind of like overcome myself, not really the challenges, but myself mostly. And I was able to enjoy it. So, I'm excited to hear if any of you have been to Alaska. What was your favorite part of the trip? Is there something you maybe didn't like? Do you share my opinion about how nice people are? In general, just I would be interested to hear any experiences related to this state, and I would say this pretty much puts an end to the episode, the first episode of season 2 of Adventulina. So I will see you guys soon, pretty much next Sunday, for another episode, and I hope you have a great week, and bon voyage!